Hi, and welcome to another episode of Hashtag Freelance Life. I'm Megan Darcy, tech writer, freelance tech writer. I'm here with Shea. You like to introduce yourself, seeing as we didn't do
Sure.
this the last time?
Yes. So when we were doing a little debrief from last time, we realized, oh, wait, we've actually forgot to tell everyone who we are. And no one can really be expected to know who we are. So
We're
um,
not that famous,
not that famous.
not famous
So
at all, actually. So
yeah.
yeah. Anyway,
So my name is Shea, and I'm also a freelance writer. I live in the KZN Midlands, and I'm also the author of Freelance Like a Boss.
yes, which is why you are my partner of chosen origin for this segment because. I mean, I've been freelancing now for probably about 6 years, but I haven't written a book about it. And yeah, it's nice to have someone that actually has got a bit of the research and theory behind the whole thing. Because yeah, we've been talking about it before that I tend to just make things up as I go along, and I've been very fortunate that it's worked out for the most part.
To be fair, I pretty much worked what's in the book is what I worked up as I worked out as I went along. So basically I did the hard work so that hopefully other people don't have to.
Yeah, yeah. Fantastic. So we put this out to the audience, what they'd like us to chat about, and the votes came back that it was time management and scheduling. There's a lot of things that kind of fall under that category. So yeah, I don't know if you want to maybe kick us off and tell us about how you manage your time, and then we can go from there.
Yes, so again, one of those things, it's taken time for me to actually learn how to manage my time. And I think it's where a lot of freelancers find ourselves is just saying yes. So any work is good work. Any work means money in the bank. I don't know when I'm going to get this kind of work again. So it's yes. So that's how I spent probably 5 years of my freelance career, was saying yes to everything, feeling really scattered, overwhelmed, perhaps not doing actually as good of a job as I could have done, because I was feeling so under pressure with deadlines, etc. So I again learned the hard way that it's actually not sustainable, and I found myself on the brink of burnout. I don't know at what point you actually cross the precipice, if it was burnout or just the brink of burnout, but it was really shit anyway. And that wasn't even enough of a wake up call. It was actually only after I wrote my book and I found myself giving advice to other people on time management that I realized, well, I should probably implement some of this kind of stuff myself.
Yeah, like
So,
take your own advice.
right?
I feel you because people are like, oh, what have you done? And I'm like, well, you should just say no. And you're like, okay, well, I don't really say no very often myself. So
Yes.
yes.
So this year has really been my mission. It's my work smart, not hard year. And I'm proud to say that I have been saying no more often. I'm now using calendar blocking. I am charging what I'm worth so that I'm not losing any money while still working less. And those are the kind of the three pillars. Oh, and I'm using tools and technology to my advantage. So those are the three pillars that have made a difference for me: is taking control of my time, using tools and technology, and then my takings. So making sure that I'm getting paid a fair or even higher amount for the work that I do. Yeah. And what
Yeah.
about you?
Yeah, I mean, again, pretty much like you, I would just say yes to everything. I mean, especially when you're starting out, you kind of feel like you don't really know where your next meal is coming from. So you need to take the opportunities as they come to you. But as you kind of go and your business grows, it does become you do reach that point where you have to start saying no because otherwise, if I look at where I am this year compared to last year, it's like chalk and cheese. And I know we were talking before I hit record, like I'm still feeling burnt out. I mean, it has been a crazy year, but compared to last year, it really is chalk and cheese. Like last year, I was just saying yes. I was working 18-hour days because there just wasn't enough time in the day to get the stuff done, and you lose your. I mean, I use the word passion lightly because following your passion is not very good advice, in my opinion. But
Mm,
you lose your passion for what you do and your
mm,
motivation, and you really struggle to get yourself going. And that followed me through my leave in December, and now into January, February this year. And it took a long time for me to actually kind of put processes in place. So yeah, like 5 years of just saying yes to everything. And then this year, I did what I call my default diary, where I just blocked, and we can maybe dive into that a little bit later. But I've blocked time out um, on the stuff that I usually do through the day, and now so that's set. So I have X amount of blocks for writing, X amount of blocks for admin, X amount of blocks for the podcasts and that kind of thing. And so when I need time for something specific, then I just slot it in, and it's I mean, it doesn't always work. It's a work in progress, but it does. It really has revolutionized the way I'm conducting my business, and it has saved me from a lot of unnecessary stress through the year. In terms of like you say, saying yes to projects that you actually don't have time for. So
And I
yeah,
think
yeah.
anyone is the first step is doing what I call calendar blocking, you call default diaries, similar thing. But for me, that was a major starting point because I got Calendly, which is the app that allows you to schedule meetings with someone at the times that are available in their diaries. So
Mm,
when I got Calendly, I realized, oh no, I don't want people booking meetings with me at all times. So I need to actually sit and block out the time. So going through that activity, I realized no wonder I'm so freaking stressed. I actually don't have time for all the things that I'm doing. If I block out the various hours for, yeah, also things like admin and personal tasks and work, I realized I actually don't have time in my day. And no wonder. So now it's been such a powerful tool to be able to actually see my capacity in front of me. So now when I get a new project, I'll put the time blocks in where I can. And if someone contacts me to say, oh, can we have this by the end of the week? I'll look at my diary and I'll say, well, actually, no, it will only be next week. Whereas before, I would have said, yes, of course. And then I would have been working into the night or working ridiculously early in the morning. Whereas now
mm,
it's in front of me. And like you say, it's not always foolproof. And you have to be quite disciplined about sticking to it. Even now, I'll be like, oh, okay, well, maybe that won't take me a full hour. I'll just make it half an hour so I can fit this in. So there is, again, always a work in progress. And I think what's also helpful, something that I'm going to start implementing, which I actually haven't done, is making sure that you have gaps and white space in between those times so that when emergencies do happen, your car breaks down or you've got to go to the doctor or whatever it is, you've actually got a bit of time in your diary to account for emergencies. And if you don't need it, that's great. You can use it for something else. Use it for something to get some extra work done or whatever. Go have coffee
mm,
with a friend. But to schedule that time in too so that emergencies don't completely derail your whole plan.
yeah. I am not that advanced just yet, but what I do have is I have scheduled personal time into my day. So, like to manage stress, I do work out. Yeah, I've got a little, I say a home gym. It's essentially a kettlebell and a mat in my garage.
What you need?
But but I actually schedule time. So from 11 to 12 every day, that's my gym. So that is already blocked out of my calendar, and I find that that also just helps me break the day. So it kind of doubles as emergency time sometimes, like if you are really like knee deep in a task and you really need to get it done, or you're on deadline, or someone a retainer client preferably needs something really urgently, because I don't do urgent stuff for ad hoc people that I've never met before. So that kind of doubles as that. But I've scheduled time in my day where I'm like, I need to take a break, and I find that it also helps me from a focus perspective to have my day. I start work at 7, I finish at 11, and then from about quarter past, 12, I've worked out, I've showered, I've eaten my lunch, and I'm back at my desk for the afternoon shift, and I can focus a little bit better than
Mm.
would have if I just worked all the way through. Because I don't know, like. This is maybe a question. How did you work out your schedule? Did you just kind of sit and, because the way I did mine was I tracked what I actually did during the day for 2 or 3 weeks, and then I based my calendar blocking or my default diary on how my natural flow during the day. Like I get a lot of very productive work done during the day. If you want me to be creative, it needs to be first thing in the morning.
Mm.
Don't put me in a meeting at 7 o'clock or 8 o'clock, because then it screws up the rest of my day. Like I can't focus after that. So yeah, that's how I work mine out. How did you work yours? Did you just sit and block time out?
Yes, so also similar, taking those natural energies into account. So I kind of know with my retainer clients how long I spend each week, using my time tracking. I can see this is how long
Mm,
I spend each week getting this work done. So I was able to block that out. And I do like to sort of batch the hours so that I can properly get stuck into something. Instead of 1 hour, one client, 1 hour, another client, I'd rather do 2 hours on the same client so that I can sort of get into a bit of a flow. And
yeah.
then similar to you, mornings, and I think for most people, I don't know, mornings tend to be a better time for that real creative focused work. So
Mm,
likewise, I schedule my meetings, admin, sort of the less brainy, thinky, creative-y tasks for the afternoons. And then so apparently the human brain is only capable of 4 hours of creative, productive work a day, just four.
mm,
So that's all you got. And when you know that, then you really want to leverage it. So similar to you, between sort of 7 and 11 or 8 and 12, I really like to sit down, eat the frog. So tackle the task that might be weighing on me or in the back of my mind that I know I just need to get it done. Eat the frog and then really spend some focused time on my writing, really. And then
mm,
the
mm.
afternoons fill in with reporting or meetings or whatever it is. So that's
Yeah.
that's been working well for me. And I actually also recently read a book by Adrian Herbert called The Power Hour. So that's all about claiming an early morning hour. So from 5:30 to 6:30, for example, where it's time, just completely distraction free time that is yours to use as you will. So, and it can vary. You don't have to do the same thing every day. So I've got a project on the go, that's a personal project that I need time for. So I'm busy using it for that, or I'll use it for exercise. Some people might want to do their gratitude journal or yoga, and it's amazing how that sets you up for the rest of the day feeling already so accomplished because you've actually worked on something that is for you and it's very fulfilling. So that's also been huge. I only read the book about a month ago, so it's only been really implemented it for about a month. And the days that I don't do it, I can actually feel the difference.
Yeah. I used to do something similar. I used to do a half-hour meditation, but now with the new processes that I've got in place, I do cash flow tracking and all that kind of thing during that first hour of the morning so that it's off my plate. And so, you also have to be selective about what you choose to do to set up your day, because
Mm,
I'm not the type of person to get out of bed at 5 o'clock unless I'm going on a bike ride. So like, don't ask me to get up at 5 and go and sit in front of my
mm.
computer, because like I'll probably decapitate you. Um, but so like, there's limited time for. I mean, like you say, it's a power hour. There's limited time that you can fit in a meditation and read and journal, and I mean, all of these are usually coming from a good place. These productivity tools, but you need to select the one that works for you as well. So, um, I don't know how you get up so early. It's weird because I used to work, when I worked corporate, my working hours were from 6:30 in the morning.
Oh, wow.
And now, like, I struggle to get going anytime before 7. So, like, I
But
can,
that's also okay because I feel like you need to use your natural rhythms. Like I wake up as soon
yeah,
as the birds wake up. So if I don't get up at 5, then I'm actually just lying in bed scrolling on my phone, So I may as well get up and do something productive.
I don't know.
Uh,
Like, I find if I pick up my phone in the morning and I go to Instagram, then that is I'm in for a pretty unproductive day. If I leave my phone alone and I only look at Instagram like during my gym hour, then I've probably accomplished something great in the morning, because I don't know, it's also like, you have to set yourself up. It's that mindset. Like, if you are going to
mm,
scroll pointlessly on your phone, then it is that's setting you up for the day. So while you don't necessarily need a power hour or a meditation or working on your cash flow, I mean, don't waste that time doing something unproductive too.
mm. And a recent life hack I learned is to actually, I can't remember if this was in, so I've just read Atomic Habits. It might have been in there. So they did a study of people. It was a memory test, and some people were allowed to bring their cell phone into the room, others weren't. No one looked at their cell phone. But those who brought their cell phone into the room performed poorly compared to those who left their cell phone outside the room. And it's because you're then focusing on the discipline of not looking at your phone, which actually saps your willpower and saps your energy. So a little hack that I'm trying now is when I'm at my computer, the phone is in another room. And what I'll do is when I need the loo, I'll get up, and then that's almost like a little treat to have a little dopamine hit on my cell phone. I mean, it's ridiculous how you have to trick, because our primitive brains were not made for this moment. We
Yeah.
are trained to seek those dopamine experiences, which are at our fingertips, and that's not normal. They're meant to be,
Yeah.
we're meant to have to run 15 Ks to get one date and get that dopamine hit, and that's us for the day. Whereas now, it's everywhere. So we
Yeah.
actually have to find ways to trick our primitive brains into not seeking that 24/7 dopamine hit.
And the problem is with all of these apps, they have been programmed with human psychology in mind. They know exactly what your buttons are and how to press them to get you back onto the platform. And I'm not speaking about even just social media, because that's the big culprit everyone knows. I mean, news sites.
Hmm.
News 24 was a big one when I was in my office days. Like, everybody was sitting on News 24 because Facebook was blocked. So, like, you got your dopamine from
Yes.
reading like the world was burning. So, like, yeah, I mean, these things they seem to test us. And so maybe that's a good kind of segue into talking about how you're using technology now to help you with working smarter, not harder. So when you say technology, what kind of technology are you
So
speaking about?
the main things for me would be my time tracking software. So you could only manage what you can measure. So with my time tracking, I can see where I'm wasting time, and I track personal things. Anything that I'm doing on my computer, I'm tracking. So even personal admin, all of that kind of thing. And then at the end of the month, I can see how much time I've spent doing each thing. And I mean, I even track, say, personal development hours. And then I can see, geez, Shea, you're really not prioritizing that enough. I think last year I created the line item and did like 20 minutes in the whole year, so it, it really gives you that evidence and hard facts to see how you're spending your time. So time tracking, if you're not time tracking your time, it's impossible, I think, to really take control of it.
Yeah.
And then things like, I mean, AI tools. So there's a great one I've been using recently called Read AI, where it transcribes your meeting, but also summarizes your meeting, and you can skip to different chapters. So I find that really helpful when I'm interviewing someone for a specific topic. And then I'm able to, instead of me sitting, typing, making a mess of my notes, trying to work them out later, it's all there. And that's a
Mm.
huge time saver. It also gives sort of the next steps and tasks and who's doing what. So that Read AI has been really cool. And then ChatGPT, I find really helpful as like a brainstorming partner. So email subject lines, for example, I'll say, give me 20 different options. I won't always use them. I'll probably mix and match them, but it just helps me get my thought process going a little quicker. I also use it to summarize a long passage, draw out the main points of this, and that helps me when I'm writing. So yeah, that's how I'm using AI. Other software, I mean, obviously Google Calendar, best friend ever. And then, in fact, the whole Google suite. I love Google Docs because I love that you can share and it's live and you're not having version control issues, which is my absolute worst. I am allergic to any kind of paperwork. I find that to be, I mean, it's 2023, people.
Yeah.
If you are sending me something to print and scan, I'm going to be very angry. So any kind of software like Dropbox Sign that allows you to sign contracts online instead of on paper, anything like that. And how about you?
Yeah. A lot of AI tools. So I use one called perplexity.ai, and I suppose it's not really a time management, but it's a time saver. So I use that's a big research tool for me. So it's a a conversational AI like ChatGPT, but it's linked kind of like Bard, I suppose, to the internet.
Okay.
So it will actually provide you with references from where it's
Oh,
sourced
that's
the information
amazing.
from. Yeah, it's
Oh, I'll put that on
like
my
you do
list.
have to. Yeah, it's amazing. Perplexity.ai. And then ChatGPT, I've got the paid version of that, and I use it quite literally for everything. My mother doesn't listen to my podcast anymore, so I used it. I used it to write her birthday card this year. Like it's really. It sounds terrible, but like as a writer, and I'm sure that any creative field, you are so sapped with when you come to write your own stuff, like you just don't want to. You just don't have the words anymore. You've used all
Mm.
your words on other
On
people.
other
So,
people.
so yeah, I mean, yeah, ChatGPT is like the most powerful summarizing tool. If you've got like bulk technical stuff in tables and stuff, you can just or even in images, you just convert the image to text, upload it, and ask ChatGPT to put it in tabular form for you. And I tell you, that is a game changer. So between Perplexity and ChatGPT, and yeah, like I do use it for small writing tasks, like you say, like subject lines for emails and titles and meta descriptions and like
Mm.
pointless, well, I say pointless, but like
Mm.
random tasks.
Mm.
And very much it forms a base, and then that's what I
Mm.
work on after that. So you're not starting from scratch, having to kind of
Mm.
string together a sentence. The sentence is there, and you just edit it. So yeah, those are my two big ones. And then my business coach is trying to get me to use Trello.
Okay.
I keep forgetting to log on to Trello, so that doesn't help. But like with your goal setting and your priority tasks and that kind of thing, you move those little cards around. So hopefully I get into that, because I think that will also help me keep track of. Because I don't know about you, when I'm in a meeting or whatever, I take notes on a notepad next to me, and as soon as I turn the page over of the notepad, those notes are gone forever. Like, you know what I mean? So,
Uh,
yeah, I need something to fix that. I think I'm going to look into your read.ai. That sounds like something that I
check it
could
out.
probably, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I
So
haven't used Trello, but I do with a client use Asana, and it's what I love is that it minimizes email. Like we barely email ever
mm,
because everything's in there, and you have all the resources you need attached to that specific task. All the communication happens there. So from that perspective, I find it really, really helpful.
yeah, there's so many of them. I work on like a range of them. There's Asana. That one is actually quite nice. I like the structure of that one. The workflows are very clear, and you can see exactly what's going on.
And you get unicorns when
Monday.
you complete a task.
Yes,
So a
yeah.
little bit of
This,
dopamine, you know.
yeah. This game. If I was actually speaking to someone the other day about like why does everything have to be gamification, but then like a unicorn pops up, and I'm like,
Oh, I
yeah.
did it.
um, Monday.com is another one that I work
Mm,
on. That one is also it's not as kind of streamlined as Asana, I don't think. Then I've got I work on other clients on Teamwork. But I mean, all of these platforms are relatively the same. And
so
yeah, it does. It as if they set up properly, they do help streamline the workflow. And you're not looking. I mean, it's so nice that you can just look in the card of that task, and everything you need is attached.
yes.
All the links and all the attachments are there. So yeah. Um, but yeah, Trello, we'll see. I used to have a Trello board for myself,
Okay.
and I just it's like I had HubSpot recently to track my sales calls, and I just never logged onto it. Like you have to find the technology that works for you. You know.
Totally. And don't let the technology rule you. Sort of my pet peeve is when you spend hours and hours and hours creating these beautiful Trello cards, and you spend more time doing that than actually doing the work that's required, you know? And I think it can
It's
become
like
a distraction.
yeah, it takes me back to when I was in high school, and you did study notes, and then all of my study notes had to have Snoopy like drawn in like then this one had to be charcoal and this one had to be pastels. And, I'd spend more time.
Yeah.
One day I had to drop to standard grade maths because I was messing
Too
around with
busy drawing
drawings of
Snoopy.
Snoopy, right?
It's exactly that.
Yeah. So let's maybe chat about, you've mentioned emergency jobs that with your calendar that you've actually started scheduling time in for emergency jobs. So let's maybe talk about emergencies and unproductive days, because those kind of chow down time. And I find now for myself, like as we go towards the end of the year, I really struggle because I'm tired. I haven't had leave the whole year. I'm kind of running out of steam. But like I was telling you, like because I take such a long break in December, I've got December and January stuff I have to get done essentially by the end of November. And so a lot of it becomes emergency work. I'm packing in a lot. I have to make sure that I've got enough money in the bank, obviously, to see me through the leave as well. So like regular work kind of becomes emergency work, but because I'm tired, it kind of becomes unproductive as well. Like you would rather sit and scroll on LinkedIn and be like critical of other people's, well, they shouldn't be spending so much time posting on LinkedIn when you're actually not working either. So like how do you cope with those like emergencies, and when it kind of does bleed and become an unproductive day, how do you deal with those?
So I think firstly, really finding that flow focus time, because it's amazing how much you can get done in 2 hours, even if you really put your head down and eliminate all distractions and just eat that frog. It's actually incredible. For me, it has to be first thing in the morning. Don't make me do that in the afternoon. So I know if there's something that I absolutely have to get done, that's the way I need to do it. And I put on music, has to be headphones. Even if the music stops and you don't notice and you've got your headphones on, there's something about having headphones on that
Right.
makes you actually just get in the zone. So for me, that's my number one hack, is really then just getting in the zone. And then it's great because if after that everything kind of slides, you know that you've got the most important thing done, and the rest you can kind of kerfuffle your way to, or maybe pass it on to the next day. So yeah, definitely that for me. And yeah, I mean, I have days where we all do, where we just not feeling at our best or most productive. But to be honest, the way that I've scheduled my calendar, I actually can't afford those days. So I have to
Mm.
just sit and eat the frog. I've got no choice because I pride myself on always delivering on deadlines. So I just make it happen. And sometimes it's getting started that's the hardest part. So if you just actually sit down, get something on there, you'll feel a lot better about yourself, and maybe you'll get a bit distracted or whatever. But having something is better than nothing. So I'll never have a completely write-off day where I'm like, oh, okay, no, I give up. Today's just not happening. Sometimes maybe it happens later in the afternoon, where I know I keep mentioning my cars because my car's been giving me hassles. Where like, you can't start your car, and then the internet dies. We all have those days, and there are
Mm.
those that you just have to absolutely write off. But as long as you've had that time, first thing in the morning, hopefully, to just make sure that you've ticked the most important boxes.
Yeah, yeah. I feel the same. I actually had an unproductive day yesterday. It was the first time since I started my business. I can count on on 5 fingers, like how many times I've like said, "Fuck this! I'm gonna go and watch TV."
Yeah.
And yesterday was one of those days. I could
How
not.
was it?
Well, the PlayStation didn't want to connect to the internet, so I ended up watching YouTube on my phone, which was
Uh,
really annoying because I wanted to get away from my computer. I wanted to watch this thing on Netflix, and yeah, it just wouldn't connect. So it was the universe telling me to get back to
yes.
work. But yeah, it's sometimes I don't wake up and be like, fuck today. But like I got what I needed to get done, and everything else has rolled over to today and tomorrow, which has now become a little bit of an emergency
Mm.
situation. But uh, it I think it's working from home and working alone. You are always giving yourself like a really hard time. Like I
Yeah.
don't know if this counts for everybody, but I'm speaking for myself here. It's kind of like whenever I take any time for myself, I think, I really shouldn't be doing this. I should be
Yes.
putting, because I'm responsible for my own income. If I'm wasting these hours, I can't get them back. There's
And we
always
need to
something.
get over that. We really
We
need
do
to
need
get
to.
over that because
So
we
yeah,
became a freelancer for freedom. So we need to give ourselves freedom. And it's also something I think a lot of people struggle with it.
yeah. So yeah, yesterday, just around lunchtime, I thought I'm not going back to work. So I went and wanted to smash the PlayStation because I didn't want to connect to the internet. But I took the rest. I ended up reading outside, and like it's something that I don't ever do. Like that's a weekend thing. Like
Mm.
you don't do that during work hours. But as long as your deadlines are hit, that I don't like. Why do we give ourselves such a hard time all the time? Like,
It's a
so,
real mind shift that I am trying to work on to remind myself you are not an employee. You became a freelancer for freedom. Use your freedom.
mm,
So
yeah, yeah,
it is, yeah, it's a
yeah.
mindset shift for sure.
So let's maybe talk about some other stuff that encroaches on that freedom. But scope creep, clients who take additional advantage, that kind of thing. Like, have you? It's all about putting boundaries in place. But it's not like I'm trying to think of an example now, and obviously, uh, let's just say a bucket can be filled with nothing more than a drip if you leave it there long enough. So, like, often it's not that the client is like, oh, well, now I want triple the output for the same amount of money, and you have to deliver it by the same deadline. It's these things happen slowly. Like,
Mm.
it's a little chips away, and you're kind of like, oh, that's not an unreasonable request, but it does mean an extra 30 minutes or an hour or whatever the kind of output from your side is, or time commitment. So what kind of boundaries have you got put in place to prevent clients from taking advantage and sucking your time and your energy and your soul?
So it's quite again another thing that you want to manage being a good service provider and you want to go above and beyond, but not at the expense of your business. So I mean, small things like I have to really try not to reply to emails straight away. So on purpose, if I
Mm,
see an email come in from a client, I'll be like, wait, wait until, wait a couple of hours at least. Normally it's a couple
mm,
of hours. I can't really push it much longer because I kind of know in the back of my mind that it's there and I want to reply to it and get it done. But things like that, so that you're not setting the expectation that you are available 24/7.
mm,
I try not to give people my phone number or interact on WhatsApp. It does happen. And sometimes it's useful and sometimes I'm grateful for it. But I try to let clients know that if you want to reach me, that's not the best way to reach me. Things might fall off the radar because I manage my email. I don't manage my WhatsApp. So sort of making that clear with clients. And then I try to be quite strict. I normally include with my writing, say, 2 rounds of reverts. So when it starts getting more than that, if it's minor, like a
mm,
couple of track changes that I just go tick, tick, tick in 5 minutes, then I'll probably leave it. But if it's something more extensive, then I'll say, okay, I can help with this, but it is going to cost X, just to
yeah,
prevent
yeah.
that continuous back and forth. And I make it clear when I send a quote that the work includes 2 rounds of reverts. So clients know that
Mm,
from the beginning. What I don't do, what I probably should do, is add in my contracts or in my quotes how much, what they can expect to pay for an additional round of reverts, for example. That would probably be
okay.
a good thing to do. And yeah, so something that I also do is just making sure, again, in my calendar with having those white space and, TBC, what the day is going to bring, because often clients will come back, they don't always stick to the schedule of, okay, I've sent you this and then the reverts are going to come in on X day. Often it's only a
Mm,
week later or it's 2 days before or it's 5 days after. So that's, I find quite hard to manage. So again, that's why I think it's important to have some gaps so that when those reverts come in, you're still able to deliver and get them done.
yeah, yeah. I try and keep the reverts for last thing in the day. I've got a little section which is admin time or
Mm.
social media time or whatever I feel like doing on that day. It's like admin type work,
Yeah.
because I forget to schedule reverts into my schedule. So
Mm.
like it's often comes through like we need changes on this, and you're like, oh shit.
Forgot about that one.
Okay, I
When was
forgot about you.
that?
So yeah, I will swap out like LinkedIn time, for example,
Mm.
for reverts, because obviously the client needs to come first. But yeah, I I've actually noticed that you don't have a phone number on your email address, and I thought it was really weird. And because, like in the today's day and age, everyone's got like you're so contactable, and I've had to train clients like if you want to send a brief, don't send the brief on WhatsApp because
Mm.
I've only just recently downloaded the desktop WhatsApp because
Yes.
up until that point, I would have to then save everything to the Google Drive and then be able to download it on my computer again. It's a nightmare. Um, but yeah, I suppose maybe I'm a little bit more flexible in that way compared to you, which I suppose pros and cons. But yeah, I've had to train clients to do certain things in a certain way because otherwise they waste your time. I've got a client at the moment who is working on social media stuff. So we've got a Google Sheet set up where she puts the brief in and I then create the content. And in you think it's a really simple thing. Like go in once a month, put your brief in, and I will create the
Mm.
content by 15th of the month. And every month I have to chase it. Please put your brief in. Like, so we seem to now finally be getting there. But yeah, you have to train clients,
Yes.
unfortunately, to deal with you in the way that you want to be dealt with.
Yes,
Um,
and everyone's different, and that's fine. You have to find what works for you and also
mm,
what
mm,
will work for your clients. I mean, because sometimes also you get clients that aren't particularly tech savvy, and maybe something like a Asana or a Trello is just going to be an absolute nightmare for them.
yeah.
So, you also have to be flexible to their needs too.
Mm, mm. I mean, I'm quite happy to work within the boundaries of what you do in your processes, but there needs to be some kind of middle ground in terms of
Mm,
the work process. There needs to be uh, it needs to be constructive from both,
definitely.
mutually beneficial. Because if I'm doing all the extra work on my side, I'm not charging you for that, and so you're getting that
Mm.
for free, and that's not well, it's good for you. It's not good for me. But
That's
it's
not good for
it's not
anyone
fair.
because
Like,
it's a time suck.
yeah,
Yeah.
mm, mm.
And yeah, just
So yeah,
proceed with caution when it comes to WhatsApp web. That is probably my number one distractor. Because even if I move my phone to another room, I can just open a tab. So proceed with caution. Oh my gosh. That's probably,
yeah.
I need to
Um,
uninstall it, but it is useful.
It is useful, especially if you need to send someone a really long message, then you're not typing with your thumbs. You can
Yes.
type with all of your fingers.
Yes.
So, yeah, but it's not on, I haven't got it saved. I need to actually like search for it. I don't know where it is on my computer. So I actually need to search and open,
Okay.
because I've got Telegram as well, but
Okay.
I've switched off all notifications, and maybe this is this is what saves me a lot of the time is that I don't have
Mm,
any notifications. I don't have email pop-ups. I don't have
mm.
sounds for IMs. I don't have even on my phone. All the notifications are off because I used to have like a little flashy light and like a little
Oh, no.
sound and
I
a
mean, it's
vibration.
designed
Yes.
to get your brain. I mean, because you can't ignore. I've also turned off everything because you can't
Mm,
ignore it. If you see, it's just then on the back in the back of your mind the whole time.
yeah, like who is it? What did they want?
Yes.
Let's
What did I
talk.
win?
I won losing half an hour of productivity to
Yeah,
this random
exactly.
person. Yeah. So let's talk about saying no because I struggle. I know that most people struggle with this, but something that I read the other day is if you're saying yes to everything, you're saying no to yourself.
Mm.
And we need to obviously position ourselves. Don't say no to everything, but you do need to make sure that you're covering your bases and not saying yes to stuff that's going to impact other work, at least, obviously, like mental health and your own stuff comes into it as well. But if you're constantly saying yes to everything, so you mentioned earlier that you have started saying no. I imagine that that's a work in progress, because we're not used to saying no. I don't know if it's a Western culture thing or what it is, but we seem to want to just people please and keep
Please.
everybody happy. And
Mm.
so saying no, you feel like you're letting everybody down. So how have you dealt with saying no?
So the calendar blocking is actually what's really helped me, because then I'm able to see in front of me, I have evidence that I'm actually unable to help. So that's
Mm.
been probably the biggest thing for me. And then also understanding, sort of unpacking why it is we feel compelled to say yes. So I don't know if it's related, but I recently did an Enneagram, and I'm a 7W8, which, I mean, I know it's super trendy to go do an Enneagram and whatever, but I got sucked in. It was fun. Um, so my personality is such that I get mad FOMO, and I want to say yes to everything because I don't want to miss out on anything or any opportunities, and I want to live life to the full and say, so it's actually given me some power to know, Shea, this is why you think you need to say yes to this. But wait, think about it. You're not missing out on anything if you say no.
Mm.
You actually, as you said, saying yes to something is saying no to yourself. So it's helped give me a bit of perspective. So I think also if you can understand, and I think there is a cultural element to it too, but if you can try and understand what's also driving you to feel compelled to say yes to everything.
I think as a freelancer, it's very much it's the pay.
And that,
It's the
yeah.
business. Like if you don't say yes to this, maybe another opportunity doesn't come along. And it's taken me a very long time to realize, like, if I say no to this, it's okay, because I've got space in my diary for other work, and I'm doing the hard work on the back end to kind of grow the clients that I've already got and set myself up for new business coming in. I mean, I've just recently turned down 2 projects. Clearly, Q4 is about report writing, and I had 2 that came through for quotes. And the one was kind of like I asked more questions about the scope, and they said, well, look at the website. And I was like, okay, then unfortunately I'm not going to be able to help you, because if you can't even provide me information for the quote,
It's not a good
I'm not going
start.
to get info. We're getting off on the
Yeah.
wrong foot. And then the other one was I would need to conduct 60, that was 60 interviews with people that were contributing to this report, and the
Oh
report
my
was due at
gosh.
the end of February. Now, that's my jam. Like, I love interviewing people, and I love taking all of that information and smashing it together and creating something with it. That's my vibe. Like, that's what I do. But to do 60 and they want it by the end of February, and I'm on leave for a month in December, I was just like,
Mm,
sorry, I'm not going to be able to deliver on time.
mm.
So, so I know, okay, that's now 2 random people that have contacted me for reports. So now I've got it written somewhere in this big thick, so
Be sure
in the
to actually
history.
reference that. Yes.
Yeah, that I need to maybe look at adding report writing to my list of services, because that's obviously
Yeah.
something that I'm being sought out for. Well, I suppose 2 is like,
Amazing.
let me not get ahead of myself, but yeah. So we're getting off track here. But yeah, so it is. I know that there will be more business somewhere down the line that will take the place of those particular project that I turned down. So it really is a
Mm.
mindset of, I'm doing the work behind the scenes. I can say no to this because there is another opportunity that will present itself. So yeah,
And
that's
I
how
don't know
I'm
about
kind of
you,
dealing with it.
and I've never regretted saying no. I've never looked
Mm,
back and said, "Oh, I wish I'd said yes to that." Not once.
yeah, I've regretted saying yes almost every single time.
Exactly, exactly. But not
And like,
once can I think, "Oh, I really wish I'd taken on that project." Never. You
mm,
know when
mm.
it's a no.
Yeah, like, you have to trust your gut as well. Like, when
Mm.
it's a no, and quite honestly, like, you regret the yes as soon as it comes out of your mouth, because like
You
now you can't
do.
take it back. Like,
And even
your
before it comes
brain
out your
knows.
mouth, you're like, oh my gosh, I regret this. Yes.
Yeah,
Oh.
yeah. Damn it, Megan. Like next week's Megan hates today's Megan. So
Uh,
cool. So do you want to dive in because you've got a workbook about working smart, not hard. I almost said work hard, not smart. So
yeah, let's not do that. So,
do you want to
um,
dive in and tell us about what it is and how people can get their hands on it, what they can expect from it?
yes. So, like I said, my goal for this year, my mission has been work smart, not hard. So, as I said, I focused on the 3 pillars. So, taking control of my time, using tools, and then optimizing my takings so that I'm making sure that I'm getting more money in less time, which is what we all want. So, I've put the tactics that have worked for me into a workbook that's accessible from my website. And I'm sure, yeah, I'll give you the link to put in the show notes. And it's basically for people to work through. And I've got a Facebook group that supports what's going on in the workbook. And as a community, we share our challenges, share ideas. And it's also for accountability, because it's one thing to like read a workbook, go through some exercises, but you actually have to implement these things for them to make a difference. So, yeah, I highly suggest also just joining the Facebook group as a support mechanism for that. Yeah, and it's just what's helped me that I wanted to share with other people so that hopefully they can find themselves in a similar position. And again, like the book, avoid doing all the things that I did wrong.
Amazing. You are super big on the test and measure, or not even just the test and measure, just the measuring. Because I tend to, this is not working. Let's see, let me tweak this. Okay, but I don't keep track of what I do. So you're streets ahead of me in terms of that. Because it is quite nice to look back and say, like, this is how far I've come. This is what I tried. This is what didn't work. Because I mean, again, when I do bother making notes, it's they get lost. So um, I really all hail Shea in terms of the test and measure stuff.
It's all about the time tracking. I'm telling you, because I need to give myself evidence to make myself actually do something. I've got a very rational brain. I don't use emotions. I only use my head. So I need to give my head something to see so that it will actually make a difference. Otherwise, I'll become an emotional wreck, but I won't listen to my emotions because my head hasn't got it yet. So it's all management.
Well, so today's takeaway, I mean, we've covered quite a lot, and there was stuff that we chatted about that wasn't necessarily directly related to time management, I suppose. But I mean, it all is very kind of incestuous. It all links together. So, what if you had to walk away, or if let me put it this way, if somebody has to press stop now and walk away and implement something or have a takeaway, what would you say that is?
So, firstly, I'd say that taking control of your time equals freedom, and freedom is what we want as a freelancer. So it's something we all want. And then I would say, as a starting point, definitely default diaries, calendar tracking to really help you envision what a better, freer freelance life could look like.
Mm-hmm. Same for me. The default diary or calendar blocking, like you call it, that has completely changed my life. Like I feel more in control. I
Yes.
can I seem more professional when I'm dealing with people because I can immediately tell them,
Mm-hmm.
sorry, I can't help you this week, but I've got space on the schedule next week Tuesday or whatever the story is. And yeah, when you're doing that default diary vibe, track what your natural day looks like and base it off of that. And then again, the productivity stuff in the morning, find something to set up your day that kicks you off on the right foot. And read all the books, do all the TED Talks, but find something that works for you, because if it works for everybody but it's not working for you, then it's not really doing what it's designed to do. So yeah, default diary and daily kickoff, I suppose, would be
Mm.
my takeaways.
Awesome.
Cool. Well, this has been fun as usual, and thanks again, Shea, for joining me. I do hope that this becomes a regular chat, and that we
We're
can help
regular. We've
other.
got, this is number 2. So
Yes, yeah. So yeah, I hope that the listeners are finding it useful, or the viewers, because the YouTube seems to be doing better than podcast. People like to see the actual
gosh,
mugs.
who would have thunk?
So
Yeah.
thank you again for taking the time, and we'll catch up on the next one. Anyone who's listening, please comment, subscribe, get in contact with Shea and myself. We're both on LinkedIn. Shea is on everything. Join her Facebook group as well, and we'll chat next time.
Cool. Thanks, Meeks. Bye.
Cool.